Hello everyone and welcome to another review. Today we are going to take a look at the ENGWE Engine X, and this is a very interesting e-bike because it has some really nice features and secrets. You know that for Europe you need e-bikes that are regulated, and they need to have specific things such as certification, which we have on this bike, and it has a conformity something there. It needs to be limited to 25 kilometers per hour and to have a maximum power of 250 watts. And it also should not have a working throttle, so even if it has one present, it shouldn't work. So stay with me on this review because this is not a boring e-bike, because this is a beast in sheep's clothing. So let's jump to the specifications right away. So it's a full suspension foldable e-bike. It has a front shock absorber that has locking option. Also it has preload, so you can adjust that. The rear shock absorber is underneath here. This is not adjustable in any way, but this is kind of a standard shock absorber. You can replace it with a more specific one if you want to, but the provided one is good enough for riding. The bike comes fully accessorized with full metal mudguards front and rear. It has a massive rear rack which is super solid, and you can also observe the design that is very similar with the engine EP2 Pro model, actually ENGWE EP2 Pro model. That one was only with front shock absorber. The design is also similar with the engine model, with the engine Pro model, but the engine X also has some differences. ENGWE has switched to new frames, so they have new design. This main part here, it's wider. You can see that from here. So this front part here was made widened. This welding here is much more solid. The advantage of bigger, wider frame is now that ENGWE also has optional high capacity batteries, so you just take the old battery out and you can get the new larger and wider battery, and that will give you much more range. The handlebar is very comfortable. It has this rise here on both sides. This stem here is pretty tall and you can adjust this. So the bike has a really nice geometry because the handlebar is a bit bent forward, and how the frame is, the position of the seat in accordance with the pedals and the handlebar makes this bike very good for all kinds of people, from short one to tall ones. You can adjust that, and it's very comfortable. You have a very good sitting position, and your knees can obtain a good pedaling position and it will not hurt your knees, while you have also a very stable feeling because the bike is also heavy, but makes riding it very pleasant. The dashboard, if we can call it that way, has this cycle computer LCD display with plenty of functions. I'm going to enter details about this on another video because this has way too much settings to go through right now, but the idea is that this permits you to do almost everything that you want to do with this bike, and you can customize almost each of its functions, and it has a lot, including the not working throttle, because this should not be working, including speed limit, assistant modes, assisted power, assisted mode levels. There is a lot of stuff here, so all of that can be set up from using these buttons here for the menu and the menu itself. This is not included with the bike. This is mine. It's a GPS speed meter, and this is going to confirm if the displayed speed here is the same with the GPS, so we know that our test is fully accurate. The drivetrain is comprised of a 1 to 7 gear system. It's Shimano. The derailleur, it's a Turney. It's index seat, shifts very nice. It's not noisy. The chain, it's okay. The gears are okay. So in this department, although this is not an extensive set, works really nice. Then, because the motor also enters into the drivetrain, the motor itself is really nice. This has a lot of torque because this is a planetary gear set motor. This has internal gears, so the internal motor actually is not a regular hub. It spins about 4 times faster than the wheel spins, and that actually gives it 4 times the torque that you get on a normal hub motor. So this has a lot of power if you want to go uphill. It has a lot of torque, so it's a kind of different sensation that you get on riding a hub motor than a regular hub e-bike. That combined with the power makes this bike a lot more powerful than you can believe that it is. Also, I need to specify that the tires are Chaoyang, and that might tell you nothing because they are China brand tires. But I'm using this brand of tires on my fat bikes, and I'm doing that for about 4 years at least, and they are very good tires. They have very good traction, they are not very noisy, and although they are very light and kind of thin, I didn't have any kind of puncture problems with them. So very good tires, this Chaoyang, and this e-bike comes with them as standard. Other things worth mentioning are the headlamp with the reflector built in. It has a pretty good LED there. It has regulatory side reflector on the wheel. It has reflectors on the pedal. You have a big stop lamp included, and it's not only a red tail lamp. This also has built-in a sensor for the brake, and when you touch the brake, this will light up like a normal motorbike or car stoplight, so pretty good for safety. Then the pedals are also folding to save some space, and these are my preferred type of pedals because they have this metal hub, and they are very solid when folded. Also, they have good bearings, so they will last for a pretty good amount of time. You only have to take care because this is metal. If you go through a lot of mud and dirt, that can enter into this locking sliding mechanism, and sometimes it can give you a bit of trouble when you try to fold them because they won't work. So you need to maybe wash them a bit and add something like a lubricant on them to unlock them. Another nice feature is that the motor comes with a plug, so when you want to do a tire change or fix your flat tire, you can take this out and you can take the wheel completely off the bike very quickly, and you can do your things with it and then just put it back and connect it to the bike. Really nice to have that, as some producers don't offer this option and makes it a bit more hard to change the tire or fix a flat one. The brakes are standard 160mm discs with fully mechanical only one side actioning pad, so they are pretty standard. You have this lever that only moves one single pad that pushes onto the disc, and the disc will bend and will push the other facing pad on the other side. Another thing that I like really much on this model is that, let me take this out, they have included this nylon bushing here, so there is no more scratched seat post. This just slides really nice in, and even though it's nylon, and theoretically this makes it slide when the clamp is properly adjusted, this will not slide, and it keeps this a lot more time better looking, and it's easier to adjust. Last but not least, the seat is also very nice. It has a lot of padding. It's more of a comfort seat. It's not a sport seat. It has also this thing here that helps you in some situations, so pretty good. Also, it might have some dampening here. I don't know if those are true or not. They do have some rubber and something inside, so maybe it also has some springs in there, but with the fat tires properly adjusted to pressure, and with the rear suspension, front suspension, this is just like riding clouds, so it's very soft, it's very nice, and with that seat you are in full comfort on a bike. So we can prepare to test ride now the bike. I need to mention that I have installed the bag, the ENGWE bag, and this is really filled up. It's really heavy right now as I'm carrying a lot of stuff. You can see the review for the bag on my channel also. I'm going to leave here probably a point where you can click and it will take you to that review. Alright, with that, so the bag weighs a lot of kilograms right now. Also, I weigh about 90 kilograms, so you can assess the dynamics of the bike with the load that is going to be on it. Also, I need to mention that the throttle is now enabled and the power level of the bike and the speed limits have been unlocked. And now the bike, the more important part, the bike has about 1000 watts of power. No longer it has 250, so it really rips now, and the speed is no longer 25 kilometers per hour. Now it should be over 40 kilometers per hour, so we are going to test that also. That's why I have brought the GPS with me. And when you are in impossible conditions such as this and fully loaded and it's hard to push the bike because you don't have where to ride it, you can keep the down button here, the minus button press, and you have assistance, and the bike will pull you through all this, so you can make it easier back to civilization, and you are not going to die trying to push this uphill or doing something like I'm doing right now. Because the battery is still almost full, although I did 10 kilometers already, I'm going to start with a speed test right now so we can assess the full speed, because that is dependent with the battery level. So I'm on gear 0, that means no assistance, no power, no accelerator. Now it's just a regular bike, and if I put it on first gear, I can pedal it very easy, so it's not tiring. You can do some exercise with it, because the planetary gear motor doesn't have any kind of rolling drag resistance. It has a one-way clutch, disconnects from the drivetrain, and you are free to pedal like a normal regular bike, only that it's a lot more heavy. Right, so gear 5 already, full accelerator, and the acceleration is pretty good for such a big bike, and I'm already at 30 kilometers per hour, 35, the GPS is very close to that, 40, 43, 44, 45, and I need to brake because we have speed bumps here and they can disintegrate you on a bike. And let's try that again. I love the sound of the motor. Also the wheels are making a nice sound. And I'm doing again 40, and it's still accelerating. And those bumps are pretty good for testing out the suspension. Again 45 on the display, but a few kilometers less on the GPS. You need to calibrate the wheel because this is set up as a 20-inch wheel bike, but because it has fat tires, actually it's closer to something like 22-inch wheel, so we need to calibrate that to get proper speed, but it's well within limits, so we get an idea of the top speed. And now let's begin some more thorough testing. So front suspension, it just flies over that small curb, going down really nice. The rear suspension will just take that, and the fat tires do their job. And let's try this way now. That was superb again, so you don't feel those bumps aggressing you. Now let's see the assistance and the electrics, how they work. So each time when you start the bike, it will start on 0. That's good because you don't want to accidentally get full throttle. So you need to go into assisted mode 1 if you want to have electric assistance. And the assistance kicks in rather hard, and the assistant works here with some kind of speed limiting option, because this doesn't have a torque sensor. It has a cadence or rotation speed sensor that measures when you are pedaling and tries to compensate somehow, helping you when you pedal. This bike has a very interesting thing. It has a chart in a manual. You are going to get that with the bike, and explains you that for each assisted level here you have a level of assistance. So when you select, for instance, gear 1 here, it has something like 50% assistance. So it means that it uses only 50% of motor power. But nonetheless, that means that as gentle as you pedal, it will just use 50% of the available motor power just to get you to the target speed. So if you are going very easy like this, and I'm now just simulating that I'm pedaling, the motor tries to get me to something like 12 kilometers per hour, but it cannot do that because I'm not putting any kind of effort. I'm just pedaling in the air. So it's doing about 10 kilometers per hour, which is very okay for first gear. Then on second gear, because the bike is unlimited with no speed limit, now it takes me to 15 kilometers per hour, and I'm not actually using any kind of, I'm not doing any kind of effort. I'm just ghost pedaling. Third gear, I'm already doing 22. Let's see, fourth gear. This is really getting me some speed now. So it's still accelerating, so probably it has a target to something like over 30 kilometers per hour, 23, 33, 34, 35. And on fifth level, there's no limit. So when you are pedaling, it's going to use all the power. It's actually set at 96% power. So almost everything that the motor can output. The throttle also coexists with the assistance mode. So when I'm on gear 1, if I use the throttle, now I am accessing all the power from that table. So this gives me 50% of the motor power until I get to the speed limit that is set for gear 1. Then same for gear 2. And again for gear 3. So I am just using the accelerator now. So they work in the same time. Also, the accelerator has the advantage that it's fully progressive, so I can go slow, I can go fast. Regardless of this, this is just a power and speed limit. So if it's on fifth gear and I use the accelerator, I can ride from about 10 kilometers per hour to anything to up to 45 kilometers per hour as the bike can do. The gearing is also okay. On first gear, I have enough power using only my legs to start the bike and accelerate with it. I can change up a few gears. The shifter works really nice, precise, changes gears very fast. No noise there. It's been well adjusted at the factory. No adjustment needed for that. So I'm doing now 50 kilometers per hour. No assistance right now, and it's doing pretty okay. Further on, I'm going to enable assistance 1 because I have over 10 kilometers per hour. It doesn't do anything, so I'm still pedaling just by myself. Gear 2, it's starting to help, and it's about this 70 kilometers per hour. Now I'm pedaling faster than the motor can provide, so I'm going to switch up one gear. Okay, I now feel some resistance from the pedals. Let's change one more gear. Now I have a lot of resistance from the pedals, so I'm going to switch up one more electric gear from here. So I'm on gear 3 now, electric. and I'm not putting a lot of effort. And now I'm on the last gear. I'm on 7th gear, and I'm doing 24 kilometers per hour, well, 22. Now it's okay, so I can maintain this level of speed cadence for a long time. So this is kind of the most economical way. But if you want to go faster than 25 kilometers per hour, now on the last gear I started to pedal a bit too fast for my liking, and I'm not putting a lot of effort, but you are going to do over 30 kilometers per hour with that. So if you want to get some boost of speed, 4th gear with 7th gear, last gear, then you can get some speed, but not for a long time. And we need to also test some of the off-road capability, so why not do that right now? And of course the ride is super smooth. The motor has a lot of power. I even lowered the assisted level to gear 2 because it has a lot of acceleration, and I don't want to be too extreme over here because there are a lot of old branches and makes it a bit slippery. The bike feels pretty nimble for its size, its weight. Don't forget the bags that I have on it. It rides really nice. It's not like a tank, it's built like a tank. It has power like a tank, but it really performs nice, and it's very controllable. You can take very tight turns with it, no problem there. And even though the ride is very smooth with all that suspension and fat tires, it's still somehow agile, sporty. You can tackle bends more aggressive, and there's no problem with that. Even got now courage to test the 3rd gear level, and it really rips through the forest. And 4th gear, and it's getting better and better. Alright, and now you have seen how this bike runs. The top speed, it's very fast when it's unlocked. It has full throttle working, so those 250 watts of power are there just for conformity. You can use this bike legally in your country with no problem, but if you are on a private forest road or whatever, and your law permits here unlimited speed or power or whatever, you can really have some fun with this bike. So it's a two-in-one bike. It's a high performance e-bike, also EU compliant bike. Now coming back to the bike itself is really nice. The suspension works brilliant, combined with the fat tires I've already shown you. Even if you get on some bumps and run on the forest with it, absolutely no problem. This is a very soft, very nice ride. It's very comfortable. The seat also helps a lot because it's not sporty. You have a good, very good riding position. The bike, although it's heavy, it has high power, high battery, high weight battery. Even with those added bags, doesn't feel any kind of sluggishness or feel hard to control. It's very easy to control, and like in all my other videos, I always get some pros and some cons in the end of the video. The pros I've already shown you or told you about. There is one single con until now that I managed to find, and that is the brakes. The bike is very heavy now. It's loaded with a bag, it's loaded with me. It's very fast when it's unlocked, so take care when it's unlocked. So I feel that the brakes don't have that much stopping power. Of course you can adjust them and you can make them a bit better, but for this kind of weight and speed, the combination of those two really needs some more powerful brakes. The discs are okay, are having the appropriate size, but the calipers itself and the braking system is not that great. So with that said, the review is now over, but before that I'm going to tell you that I'm also going to upload some extra videos regarding this bike and general. You will see a review of that bag. Also I'm going to add some detailed videos about how to unlock the throttle, how to unlock the speed limit, and also go through the display settings because they are a lot and very complicated on this model. So I'm going to do some separate videos with that. So be sure to follow my next uploads, and in the future I'm going to add those also. Until then, see you and bye bye.